Rachel Cohen. I'm a facilitator provided by the Vermont Humanities Council. This program, The Light Pirate, is this year's Vermont Reads book. So every year the Humanities Council selects a book, and it's available to communities all over the state, not only public libraries but other institutions. And there are programs like a book discussion or other things. There's some talks that are related to the book. This is the 23rd year of Vermont Reads, and last year's book Gather was by far the most popular, but The Light Pirate is coming in a close second in terms of number of programs that were requested and number of participants who are attending the various things. And I'm very excited because I attended a training session yesterday at the Humanities Council for the new upcoming Vermont Reads book, which is this book, Charity and Sylvia, by Tilly Walden. It's a graphic, I won't say novel because it's historical, it's factual. And I haven't read it yet because I just got it yesterday, but it looks like it's going to be a very good book, set in Vermont, small town Vermont, Weybridge, which is a real place. It takes place in the late 17 to early 1800s. So I'll put it for anyone who wants to look at it at the end. But if you're interested in it, tell your librarians that you would like to have the Vermont Reads program that's available now to book. What else was I going to say? Okay. I wanted to introduce you to Lily Brooks Dalton. She's the author of The Light Pirate. I'll pass her around so you can take a look at her while I briefly tell you who she is. The Light Pirate is her second novel. Lily was born in 1987, which makes her about 38 years old, in southern Vermont. She grew up in somewhere in the Brattleboro area, I'm not sure the exact town. She got her Bachelor's of Arts at the University of Massachusetts in Amherst, and then she got a Master's of Fine Arts in Creative Writing from Portland State University in Oregon. And her first book was a collection of short fiction called Quartz and Other Stories, which was actually her master's thesis for her master's degree from Portland State. She's also published a memoir. She seems a little young to have written a memoir, but you never know what someone's life has been like. It's called Motorcycles I've Loved, and I have not seen that. And then her first novel was called Good Morning Midnight, and that was made into a film. The film is called The Midnight Sky, and it was directed by and stars George Clooney. So it's apparently well known. It's available, I understand, on Netflix. I have not watched it or read the book. And then The Light Pirate, which was published in 2022, and that date 2022 may be of interest to us. Lily Brooks Dalton's latest book just came out in March. It's called Ruins, R-U-I-N-S. It's about an archaeologist. It's a novel about an archaeologist searching for a lost empire. And of course, I have not read that since that just came out. Her work has done well. Her books have sold well, translated into numerous languages, and she's won a few literary prizes. So she's off and running as a young author. I would like to start by just quickly going around the room. If you would say at least your first name, and if you have a question, burning question or a trivial question about the book that you're hoping we'll talk about, you can ask that question. It doesn't need to be about the most significant thing in the book. Maybe we will or maybe we won't answer your questions. If you don't have any questions, if you would just say your name, that would be great.
Okay, I'm Louise. And I don't know if this is a question. I was surprised at the beginning of the book when they're talking about pregnant Frida, and they were getting to know the character, and then she dies, and it was a shock. I was surprised.
I was too.
Yeah, like wow. Yeah.
I'm Cheryl.
Cheryl. Do you have a question, Cheryl?
No, not really.
If you
Not
have one
yet.
later, you can always ask.
I'm Rob, and I read the book back when it first became available,
Okay,
hoping that it would have been into a meeting like this earlier, but
uh-huh.
so a lot of the questions and thoughts are kind of gone by now.
Maybe you'll be reminded
Yeah.
by our discussion. Okay.
Hi, I'm Maureen. I read this a couple weeks ago, so you have to refresh my memory.
Okay.
But I found it very interesting.
Did you have any
And
questions?
I wonder where she got her inspiration.
I'm Lisa. I almost finished the book, but not quite. But Rachel told me what was going to happen. I think I would really like to talk about just how people feel about the character of the father in the book. Because I don't know that I liked him.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And again, I'm Rachel, and I have lots of questions, and we're going to talk about some of them. So let's start. I don't want to start with the characters this time. Sometimes I do. I think I want to start with the book is divided into 4 parts. I don't know if any people who read it a long time ago may not recall this, but they're called Power, Water,
Right.
Light, and Time. And the reason I want to start here is because these, in addition to being having to do with the structure of the book, they were a way that the author organized the book. They're thematic ideas that are crucial to the book. And if you look, I don't often color code flags on books, but in this case, the second time that I read the book, I started putting in these colored flags, and the pink ones represent the word power, or some form of the word power, like powerless or powerful. They're not every instance of this word, but you can see, so power is the first section. Most of the pink flags are in the first 90 pages, which is that first section. But the word continues to occur later, and as I said, this is by far not every instance. And then the green ones are water, the blue ones are, no, green ones are light, the blue ones are water, and the gold colored ones are time. And time was only a few pages long. So in some of the discussions that I've had about this book, these themes have been more important than others to the people in the room. So I'm just going to organize, as Lily Brooks Dalton did, our conversation initially around these. So what I want us to do, first of all, without reference to the book or with reference to the book, your choice. If I say the word power, if I throw the word power out into the room, what comes to your mind?
Power tools.
Power tools, good, okay.
Well, in reference to the book, it's electricity in the grid.
Electricity, the power grid,
Yeah.
What else?
I thought it was more the power of water.
The power of
really?
water, good, okay, which is one of our other themes.
And the power of the individual
And what do you mean by the power of the
The-
individual?
the
Give us some
Wanda.
examples. Wanda's,
and a survivor.
okay, all right. And certainly the forms powerless or powerful have more to do with like human power. There's, authority. Does the government totally fails to serve its purpose? It becomes powerless. Other ideas about power, the word power or ideas about power that we think are important in this book. Maybe Kirby, the father.
Yeah, that he's so focused on trying to, repair the electrical grid.
So there's a dependence on that power, this power,
Yeah.
and he kind of is overly
Attached to
attached
that.
to
or-
it. Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
it's like obsessed.
Right.
But it's his living.
It's his
And it's
identity.
his family, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what he knows how to do.
right, right. Okay, So keeping the word power kind of floating around. How about water? If I just say water, what comes to mind, or in reference to the book, what comes to mind with the word water?
Rivers and loose water. There's also the tap water.
So actual water.
Fluidity.
Moves and changes and
So she was talking a lot about, reference to that book about fluidity.
These passages that we get that are in italics, I don't know if you remember from a while ago. Does everyone remember that?
What
This-
page is that
They-
on?
They're throughout the book. They're
Oh,
they're
yeah,
in each
okay, I thought you were
section.
doing
They're,
specifically.
they're, let me find a good example. Just throw, this one is about water. If the ocean is a body,
I just
then the
happened to
waves
turn
are
my
its
page.
tongue, long and blue-gray, licking at the beach until there's nothing left. This body is wide and full and deep. It rises, wrapping itself around the world, squeezing the land tight between its thighs. 10 years means nothing to a body like this. It's been here since the beginning.
It's in control.
So power and water
That's
coming
right.
together here in this particular passage.
Weren't all those parts sort of personification of water?
Not only water, but yeah, they're personified. I think that's a
Yeah.
good word to have. What else about water in the book?
Without water, you can't live.
Okay, yeah, it's
Especially
necessary.
fresh water you need.
Mhm.
And it was her way of navigating through various areas.
Mhm.
I was surprised about the freshwater spring
Okay,
that they could go to fill up their
Right.
plastic bottles
mhm.
Right.
of water.
So there's a contrast there between the fresh water and the
Yeah.
salt water. Everything else really is at least brackish, at least some of the ocean.
Do you mean surprised? You mean surprised that they could actually get it? It's bubbling up, but how do you get the clean water and not the...
I guess there must be so much volume of it that in a certain area that it would be salt-free.
And the difference between, difference between needing fresh water for certain species where they would die off in salt water. So
Yeah,
she-
we'll look at that spring scene in more detail in a few minutes. So
Yeah.
we'll see if there's some clues in there. I mean, it's so obvious that nobody's saying it, but Florida becomes flooded in this book and is almost completely, all the human-made structures are almost completely buried underwater. It's not a far-fetched future for a place like Florida, right?
It's interesting you said buried underwater.
Yeah,
Instead of flooded or...
right, yeah. I have some phobia about water, and so this aspect of the book is quite terrible to me. You know, I walk around in a canoe. I don't like to be in a boat or swim very much, and so it's not a future that I'm looking forward to. And
I put myself into it sometimes, into the story, and thinking I wouldn't survive. And I don't swim.
you don't swim.
No.
Yeah, Florida would not be a good place for you. Yeah. Okay, so keeping power and water both sort of swimming around. What about the word light? What ideas come to your mind, or in what ways is light significant to this book?
I think of the luminescent light that she is with her, and then it eventually passes to somebody
The
else.
little creatures.
But that's
in
a
the water.
spoiler for the end of the book.
I
Too
know
late.
about it already.
Don't worry about it.
But that's interesting you thought of that, because I thought about how dangerous the light becomes.
Yes.
Because they die if they go
Right.
out in the
Right.
daytime.
Power of the light.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
Forgot about that.
Yeah, I think we think of light, it's so commonplace, it's around us all the time, we don't, even more so than water, we just totally take it for granted. And the idea that you could not go out when it's light out, just seems terrible to me. Other significance of light, certainly these little creatures, and the title of the book, of course, is The Light Pirate.
Light. came from her. She it started when she was little, and it's come from her body, where she would put her hand in the water
Right,
and
it's
illuminate,
Wanda's
and
power.
all the wildlife would respond.
Mhm.
That's also power.
Right, yeah, yeah. Yeah, we'll talk about that's, whatever we want to call
Yeah,
it,
which-
that,
Luminescence?
thing that happens.
Lumens, I was
when
trying to
light
say
comes on.
luminescence
Yeah,
of the brain.
the word light also has a totally different usage, which is the opposite of heavy, right? Or the opposite of consequential. So something, if it's light, it's you know, it floats, it's insignificant, it's easy, maybe. Does that feel like that usage of the word has any meaning in the book?
It's not a lightweight story.
It's not a lightweight
No, it's not. It's a heavy story.
No, it's a grand
Like,
story.
oh my God, is this gonna have enough Florida?
She had to keep shedding her things. She started out with living with the lady. There was a house full of stuff, and then there was just what she could
That's
move, and then there
interesting.
was things that just like smaller and smaller, and
Yeah.
Yeah, so their baggage becomes lighter and lighter, and things.
Also in her connections to people, right? She loses all these relationships, and then she's super attached to that little kitten, and then in the end, she's just sort of like, oh, there's this tomcat that shows up once in a while, like.
Right,
So her relationship load lightens, I guess.
there's another meaning of light that has to do with understanding, right? So in a cartoon, I don't think this book doesn't have that kind of thing, but a light bulb over someone's head means they have an idea, or they understand something. So the reason I'm sort of pushing this a little bit is, I think that the author used the 4 sections of the book and these 4 thematic ideas really allowed her to weave together a bunch of different things that in a different kind of book would have either seemed separate, or she wouldn't have been able to deal with them kind of all simultaneously. But the way when we're talking about power, we start talking about light, or we start talking about water, that they act like this kind of continuity in the book. So we won't forget these 4 words or 4 ideas as we move forward. But I think we will go to this scene that you were talking about
The
with
fresh
the-
water.
with the water.
I thought of Wiki Wachi, the home of the live mermaids. Does anybody
Oh, yeah,
remember that?
The what?
It was
The
Wiki
what?
Wachi, the home of,
in Florida, yeah.
and I was wondering if that was what they were talking about in the book. It's from advertisements
Yeah.
decades ago.
So my dad recently, he lived in Florida until very recently, and he lived near a wildlife refuge that's one of the places where manatees go in the winter. The ocean water gets colder in the winter, and manatees are more comfortable in warmer water, so they go up sometimes up a river where there's, I don't know if there's hot springs or something that makes it warmer, and they're also safer there from boats and things like that. And there's in this refuge is a place where they treat manatees that have been cut by the propellers of boats or something, they're sick or something like that. But you can also go and really see them really well. There's a place where you kind of go downstairs, and then you're underwater. There's glass, so you can see the manatees swimming around, and fish and other things that are in the water. But this place reminded me of that. So it's, I'm sure as you go closer to the mouth of that river, the water will be salt or brackish. But the farther upstream you go, it becomes fresh water. So I can't quite visualize this exact place, but it's not unreal, is I guess what I'm getting at. It's not unrealistic.
When they get to fresh water, the manatees aren't as buoyant. Salt water is more.
It's more buoyant, yeah.
Yeah, so they'd be more sluggish in fresh water.
Do other people have experience with manatees? Do you know about them? Can you picture them?
I've seen them.
You have seen them. What's that?
I said only in cartoons.
In cartoons, yeah. Well, they're very cartoonish looking. Yeah, they're very blobby, pretty slow moving. They're just kind of they're very large mammals, so they're not fearful. They're herbivores, so they're not a dangerous animal like a seal or something that eats fish. And supposedly they were the inspiration for mermaids. So this is where this wiki-watchy thing comes in. They are not beautiful looking, but they sometimes float in the water with their heads upright, like a person might picture. They have fins like a mermaid. I don't know. I have trouble when I see them. Faces are very, very blobby, but.
They like misshapen elephants or something.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. And I think they are related to elephants, actually.
I like
that weird proboscis thing. But anyway, let's go to this scene, because there's a lot of complicated things are happening here. So this chapter begins on page 221, if people have a copy of the book. Wanda she has paddled her canoe in the nighttime into this lagoon to get the fresh water. And she hears something. She hears something else in this sort of somewhat contained area with her. She has to decide, here's where we're going to talk about this thing that happens when she touches the water. She has to decide whether she wants it to be light enough for her to see. But of course, as she realizes, if she can see, others can see her. And Phyllis has led her to be very suspicious of other people. They had the horrible incident where Corey and his father came and attacked them in their house and hit Wanda with the gun, or hit Phyllis with the gun on the head, and Wanda ended up shooting the two men, killing the two men. So Phyllis has always been paranoid about other people and has encouraged Wanda to not use this power of making it light, because then you're very visible. So she's deciding that. And then whoever is here with her is large and unafraid. It could be a gator, which is manageable, or it could be a human. A human would be much worse than an alligator. Either way, she realizes that she has to see what she's dealing with. There's no way around it. The knife is useless unless she knows what she's using it for. Reaching down toward the water, knowing as she does that the cost of summoning these creatures, the little things that are going on, is never straightforward, she rakes her fingers through the wet and tightens her grip on the weapon. She will see and be seen. This is the bargain. Remember this moment? The light begins at her fingertips and spreads quickly, smoothly across the face of the water. Every time this phenomenon is described, it's very what's the word?
Textile?
You can touch
Tactile.
it. Tactile. Yes, thank you. Yeah, you can visualize it. You can feel it. Yeah. Wanda sees the source of the movement then, and it's neither alligator nor human. It's a pair of manatees playing.
Right.
So from this tense, she's holding a knife, she's all alert, manatees.
Release.
The one happy moment in the book.
She gets in the water, she swims with the manatees. It's this beautiful, idyllic moment in the book, in the midst of all of this grimness. All right, let's see if she fills her water bottles with the fresh water that flows into the lagoon from the spring below. Can you picture that? Those springs coming up.
Must be bubbling up.
It may be bubbling up over the surface so she can see where it is.
Yeah.
And there's enough of it that it separates the
Right.
brackish water.
Right. There's a lot, in Florida, there's a lot of underground cavities.
Yeah, the aquifer.
It with aquifers that bubble up. I find this a very vivid portrayal of it trying to exist in a new environment. A very astonishing book.
Yeah, and there's so many things about it that
Yes,
are.
many layers.
Right, it's a drowned world. You can't go out when it's light out, or you
Right.
die. There are, these broken buildings sort of jutting out from
Yeah.
the surface of the water. Most people are gone. There's no communication with the outside world.
The spring where she goes to is once a tourist attraction or something because there's stairways down
Yeah, I
to
think
it.
you're right, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It might actually be if we walk the.
That's what I was thinking, because there's some sort of structure there
Right,
for the springs.
right.
And I don't know Florida well enough to.
Well, and Rudder is a
It's
fictional.
probably in the town name.
Rudder is fictional, so it's
Yeah.
not totally clear to me
Yeah.
exactly where we are. And it doesn't really matter, right? I mean, could be a real place. We know there are things like this, and this is obviously somewhere where people used to come. Maybe it's drowned to some degree, the water level is higher, so it would have been different when people were there before.
It's interesting because they do talk about real places, right? There's that whole thing about Miami, they talk about the Panhandle, they talk about
Yeah, the band.
Okie,
Okefenokee.
yeah.
Right. Now, the manatees seem important to me for a number of reasons. So we talked a little bit about them. They're like the most benign creature you could imagine, being able to come across in this kind of way, right? They're just not threatening at all. They're very playful. But it also seems like they are a creature that's going to do well when Florida is flooded and it's really hot. Right? They're fine. To them, this is not a disaster story at all. It's not a dystopia for manatees.
I also
Manatee-
think, sorry, go for it.
Manatees, aren't they kind of in a small area in Florida?
They are now, but that's partly because of the cold. So I think it would be beneficial for them for it to be warmer. And they also do survive in both fresh
I
and
was just
salt
gonna
water.
say that.
Right? They
both
spend most of the time
environments.
in the ocean, but they come upstream in the winter. Now in the winter when it's not freezing in Florida in the winter, but it's much colder than it is during summer.
And the alligators seem to be doing well too. And I think both manatees and alligators are kind of ancient creatures.
Yes,
Very
yes,
good.
good, yes,
Right?
Yeah.
yes.
That have been able to survive through changes.
Yeah, so there are a few places where she talks about the world sort of coming back around. It's not like it's being ruined by this. It's coming back to be more like itself in a sense. I think that's sort of this what I see as a kind of idyllic moment with these manatees. It makes it feel like if it weren't for humans, it wouldn't be a problem, really. That this situation would be okay. The little lighting up creatures, whatever they are, they seem okay, right? They're not harmed by the situation. What else about this scene? Do you remember, especially maybe you read the book some time ago, or from now us talking about it, what do you remember that happens? What happens next?
I know.
Oh, I read it this week, so.
Hopefully you remember.
the scene at the,
Right after this moment that I've just been reading, where she's playing with the manatees.
Yeah.
Do you remember what happens?
yeah, not Phyllis, what's her name?
Bird dog.
Yeah,
Mhm.
bird dog, makes yourself known, yes?
She comes paddling in on a raft. And again, it's similar to the moment before, realizing it's manatees. Wanda's like, there's another person now. And because it was lit up, she can't.
Was it the second time she'd met her? Or is this the first time where she didn't know who she was?
She doesn't know who it is at this point. Where she met her, she knew her when she was a child.
As Bree.
But she has not gotten to know her yet. So this is the first time, and it's really the first encounter that Wanda has had with another person since Phyllis died. So
And we don't know how many
we
years
do
that's
not
been.
know how long. So
Yeah.
this small last section, which we have not talked about, time, time is very strange in this book. So we don't know how old Wanda is here. We don't know how long has passed since Phyllis died. But she's been alone with no other people. And then she sees a person coming, and Wanda is prepared to be attacked or to have to fight for her life. And instead, Bird Dog offers her pieces of mango. Is it mango or papaya?
I think it's
Mango.
mango.
Which is
Papaya didn't stick in my head,
good
mango.
mango. Okay, so mango. Which diffuses the moment, right? Mango is sweet and it's she's taking these little pieces. They're within reaching distance. She can reach over and get the pieces of mango. Bird Dog is cutting off.
Why is she called Bird Dog?
She changed her name. Bree didn't suit her. She changed her name to Bird Dog. It's never explained.
I thought it because she was able to find things.
Because she could find things.
Yeah,
Right.
she was the scavenger of the
Oh.
family.
Yeah.
Huh.
And she probably wants to disassociate herself from her brother and her father.
Yeah.
And if she said the real name, that Wanda would have killed her or something.
Well, yeah, so I mean, relatively shortly after this, they get back together again. Bird Dog invites Wanda to meet her at a certain place, and another night. And after much heart struggles, Wanda decides to go and meet her. And they learn Bird Dog recognized Wanda before from the thing with the light, right? But she tells Wanda who she is, and Wanda tells Bird Dog that she killed her father and her brother.
Right.
Yeah.
Because she just feels like she can't keep that a secret, right? That's going to be
That's a big
significant.
secret.
And
Which is
Bird,
tough because she doesn't know, is this going to end?
right,
If I tell this woman I killed her relatives, is she
Right.
going to freak out and that'll be the end of it?
instead, Bird Dog admits to her that she led Corey and her father to Phyllis's house because she has this tracking ability, and they weren't able to follow
Right.
Phyllis and Wanda in the canoe, and so it was Bird Dog feels responsible for the fact that Corey and her father were
That's
able to
That's what I picked up.
right?
Yeah.
This is an example to me where Lily Brooks Dalton it's a coincidence, right? That the one person, if you were in Florida in the middle of the night, paddling around in some random water, the one person that you would meet would happen to be this person. That's what a novel is allowed to do, right? The author can decide, I'm going to put this character back in this situation, and here's what's going to happen. But it also shows that how interwoven everything is. It's like if you try to talk about one thing, you suddenly find you're talking about 10 other things. It's been one of the joys to me of talking about this book over and over with different groups of people. Is that someone will, like this thing, why is she called Bird Dog? No one asked me that question before. You've answered because she knows how to track. It's in the book, but it's one of myriad details that the author got it right, but you don't necessarily have to have every one of those details in mind for the book to sort of move around into its different spaces and meanings. Okay, so I feel like this scene, the manatee scene, it's sort of a pivot point in the book. Right, so we had some things that happened before, giant traumatic things, right? This moment is more, nothing hugely dramatic has happened in this scene. Nobody stabs anybody, or, you know, it's got a lot of energy and a lot of tension and a lot of beauty and the thing with the manatees, but I feel like everything kind of pivots.
Shifted.
Yeah. Where do we go next in the book? Either emotionally or in terms of the plot. The whole rest of the book is sort of goes in a different direction.
Well, up till now, everything keeps sort of falling apart, and then it's like a little teeny step up, and I'm talking to one other person, and then there's more people, and then I'm helping them, and they're helping me, and it's like she's like, not a society, but some sort of social
Community, social interaction.
Community.
Yeah, community is built. Yeah.
I think before that, she was prepared to, you know, pick up this some more and just, you know, I'm done.
Yeah, just be alone for the rest of her life. Yeah. Someone asked in one group, why does Wanda stick it out to this point? I'm trying to picture, you said, I mean, it's so many things seem so hard
Yeah.
and so unfamiliar. What is it about Wanda that makes her not only have survived all of these previous traumas, but want to keep surviving, even though things...
Go back to the power self again.
Say more about
The
that
power
power.
of self.
Say more about that power. It's not just that
Survival
water
and-
lights up when she touches it.
The energy she has and her connection with the environment. She's just a powerful woman, my eyes.
And she had Phyllis, right,
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
that took care of her, and then when Phyllis has more problems,
Right.
and she has to help take care of her,
Right.
and so it just goes on when she no longer has Phyllis. She takes care of herself.
I have a question. The brother,
Lucas.
now, it took him months to see his sister, and then he met her. And you know, the world out there is chaotic and unstable. I'm surprised he didn't stay with his sister. What's your interpretation
Yeah.
of Lucas?
I think I'm going to frame it as another question. Why does anybody stay or go from Rudder or wherever? Why do the people who stay, and why do the people who go, go?
Good question.
And then we'll look specifically at Lucas.
And Phyllis was prepared.
Okay?
Phyllis was prepared to stay, and she made that her life work.
Mhm.
She wasn't expecting the water rise, I don't think.
Right.
Yeah, she had a house that's slightly above, you know, the rest of the land. So Phyllis was knowledgeable that this was going to come,
Right.
and she turns out she's correct.
And she loved the land.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think Wanda does too.
And she learns that from Phyllis and perhaps her father and brother. They want
Yeah.
us, yeah. And
Main
that's why
What were you
roads,
going to
the
say?
secrets.
I just was gonna say she was a teacher, Phyllis, and
Right. Right.
she taught Wanda.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was her home. It was the place. It wasn't just familiar, but it was her life's work. You know, that very first time when Wanda goes into the field with Phyllis, when she's collecting the samples of water. She's just curious about she knows something is going to happen. She's preparing for it. And she's curious to see what will happen. Um, it- Why didn't Kirby, why didn't he leave?
Because he was
What
kind of a
point did he
pain in the
arrive?
head.
Say that again?
I'm trying to remember, at what point did he arrive?
He was,
He'd been there all along. It's Frida
Kirby's
had
No, I
come.
mean, he arrived back.
no,
Not,
Kirby,
not,
Kirby's the
not
father.
Lucas. Kirby is the father.
Yeah.
Kirby is Wanda's father.
Kirby was planning to move to California with when Lucas.
With Lucas, but I mean, from the beginning, why, Frida gave him every reason to leave, right? She was terrified, her mother had died in a hurricane,
Right.
she was pregnant, and she's, please, 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 let's leave. He would not evacuate.
No, we wouldn't.
Right.
There's some people that always stay where they were born or where they were raised, and there's other people that want to move on to something different. And I think he wanted to stay where he was.
And you're right, he did, once Lucas was planning to go to
Yeah.
college, he was good, because now everything was gone. Everything he had built was gone, right? So he wasn't going somewhere, he was leaving.
He was doing something very important for the community. He was keeping the lights on.
But I don't
Yeah.
think that that's why
I don't
he
think that's it
stayed.
either.
I don't think, I think it was a job to him, I think he liked having a job and a routine, but I don't think that he wasn't that he was passionate about making sure people had power. In a way, I think he was just sort of one of these stubborn
Yes.
dudes that
Yes.
are kind of a
Hubris.
pain.
Hubris.
Yeah, right? And he was like super
That
mean to
pregnant
Frida.
woman alone.
That's right. Oh, I better go do my job in the hurricane while I leave my
Right.
pregnant wife.
And he did have a conversation with himself in the car that day when he's coming back. He's like, oh, I haven't been very open-minded about
Yeah,
how I
but
haven't
it's a
talked to
little
her.
too little too
But
late.
sure it is,
I
but
agree.
so, he seems
You
like a,
really didn't like him.
I did not like him.
Didn't either.
he seems like a very ordinary person. I know 100 people like that who,
Right.
you know, he's not a bad guy, he's inconsiderate, but that's just normal. Everybody's inconsiderate. He thinks he knows what he's doing. He's done it a million times before. He knows he's supposed to put the plywood up, blah, blah, blah. Then we'll be fine. We've always been
And
fine.
Lucas
before.
was kind of like him too before
They're very
Right?
similar.
yeah.
And I think he's also had to deal with the guilt, what he did to
Oh,
his
yeah.
brother.
Sure.
Yeah. What was Lucas's justification for going away?
For education.
For, what was his, what did he want to learn?
Oh, for, I guess we call civil engineering
He wanted to come back and save Rudder.
Yeah.
So his mind was so narrow in a way about that.
Yeah, that
Right.
might tie into what you say about people who were born in a
Right.
certain place or area,
You're right.
that he wanted to
Yeah.
save it. I see Kirby as trying to save the community as a service to the community, not as stubbornness necessarily. I don't hate Kirby.
I think the fact that he goes to that town office
Something more.
to ask why they're not getting any overtime pay, and it's like he just doesn't see
Yeah,
what's
he
going
doesn't
on.
get it.
Yeah, not
He's,
get it.
he's so sure of the things that he knows that he has a lot of trouble adapting. You know, and he hasn't, like Phyllis, he has no plan for the future. He thinks it's always going to be, well, oh, it would be great if we had more money, we could put the bigger culverts, right? It's like what we do in Vermont, we get a
Right.
giant flood, all the culverts, we could put bigger culverts,
Build back better.
build back better.
But he's not looking at the big
He
picture.
just can't imagine anything that's totally different.
Micro thinking.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
So we're gonna zoom out for a minute. We've been in this little world with these folks. There's this puppet master out there that is Lily Brooks Dalton, who gets to make all the decisions about
Right.
what happens to these people. I always make this puppet motion when I'm thinking about the author's choices. She made the world of this book so small and enclosed. Though if you ask somebody, if you told somebody, I'm going to talk about this book, and they said, oh, what's it about? you would probably say it's about climate change. But it's not about climate change. It's about this tiny little place, this little town, like a Vermont town, right? Rudder, it could be Springfield, who knows? It's small. We don't know exact population. And we learn almost nothing in the course of the book about anywhere else. There's a few we learn about, a little bit about Miami. We learn a little bit, Lucas comes back from California, and you're like, it's on fire. The University of California has shut down. That's no more, right? But the book isn't about anywhere else. We have to imagine that things are going on elsewhere. We lose track of everything else. There's only a few characters in the whole book that we really ever see. And we live with these people in this it gets smaller in a way,
Yeah, it does.
right? When the cell towers are gone, you don't even know if there is a world anywhere else. Why did Lily Brooks Dalton focus so closely on this very small world?
Maybe because that's what she sees what the future is going to look like. That there's going to be a whole bunch of isolated,
Okay.
isolated communities.
I think when we read something that's too, there's a passage actually, am I going to be able to find it? Page 119. This is during the scene, possibly I won't say that, where Lucas's ex-girlfriend Jillian has come back into town. She and her family went away. We don't even know where they are. And she's telling him about Chicago, about traveling in Europe, blah, blah, blah. He listens, is politely attentive, but none of this matters, not really. She's telling him stories about a world that doesn't know its ending. This world is worried, of course, about climbing temperatures and vengeful wildfires and rising tides. The headlines are absolutely terrible, she says, incessant, exhausting, but they're just that, headlines, things that happen to other people elsewhere. The Middle East, Indonesia, Northern California, the Bahamas, those poor people. Southern Florida and the Keys, Louisiana, Puerto Rico, those poor people, those poor people. The safe zones have shrunk, will go on shrinking, but the people still firmly attached to the idea that there will continue to be such lines between safe and not safe, between us and those poor people, are determined to go on as they always have. So here's a moment where I feel like we sort of zoom out of this small world and we hear the author kind of thinking about where we are, I think, in our minds for the most part right now, where it's okay here for the moment, something terrible is happening over there, up in Barrie, they're underwater, but we're okay here. Maybe you can't go outside during the day in the summer in Texas, a few days of the summer, right? Too hot, people die of just being too hot, or in India. But it's still okay here.
And it's okay in Texas too if you have money and you have electricity and air conditioning and
Right.
there's definitely something about the haves and the have-nots, right? When you asked why do people leave and why do people stay, I think that's part of that equation.
Right.
That people that had the money left
Right.
sooner, definitely,
Yeah.
and more comfortably.
And there is an idea that there is somewhere that's away. I think when Lucas comes back and tells us about Southern California and tells us about California and then that he's going to go somewhere else and help, other places, it's no better anywhere else. It's maybe different. There's something different going wrong somewhere else. But these safe zones are far and few between.
And shrinking.
And shrinking.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. Maybe in some of those places there's something like this happening. Some people have found a high zone or found a way with, you know, the however many. How many people do you picture in this very last scene when they're all living in the tree houses? How many people?
Dozens?
Thousands?
Dozens?
Dozens.
Yeah,
Yeah, I didn't think many.
yeah, they found each other, it sounds like.
And maybe, you know, 100 miles down the coast, there's another 100 people
Right.
doing the same thing. And then up in Vermont, maybe uphill somewhere.
Get away from the floods.
Right. And probably we can still go out during the day up here.
What was that?
We can probably still go outside during the day
Yeah,
this far north.
yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's gonna be very hard to grow anything in food. And that's where adaptation comes in. You can't have a whole bunch of people hunting with the animals.
People are growing foods now, what is it? Closed areas. So we've really advanced. We can do our food, make our own food.
Yeah.
But the only thing we're gonna be missing is like livestock.
And, well, hydroponics or.
That's what it's called,
So you
hydroponics.
think
yeah.
there's going to be some technology?
Yes,
that's
I
gonna
do,
save
'cause
us?
And you're gonna need,
Human beings are innovators,
Mm.
and if they have that power to survive, adapt, just like animals adapt
Yeah.
to changing environment.
if we can do that, I don't think we can do it quickly enough, however.
Well, so,
I don't know,
I have faith in people,
yeah.
their ingenuity and survival.
Well, it's something.
Provided they don't kill each other.
Oh, that's another thing. Okay, at the end of the book, there's dozens of people,
Mhm.
right?
mhm.
Now, Corey and his father have been killed because they were nasty. They
Yes.
were nasty before
Mhm.
their world falls apart.
Correct.
Yeah, so these other dozens of people, have they eliminated I mean,
Good way of thinking.
yeah, well, I mean, but Corey and his father were just bad people.
Yeah, nasty pants.
Yeah. And what happens when
Right.
one of those tries to join a community?
Yeah. That's
That's another
very,
question for
yeah.
another book, but.
yeah, and yeah, I think there are definitely some things that she just doesn't deal with, right?
She just
This
keeps it
reminds me of,
tame.
years ago, I worked for the anthropology department at the University of Michigan, typing manuscripts for the anthropology professors. This was before people had their own computers. And I typed a book for a professor named Ray Kelly about people in Papua New Guinea who had a practice when something bad happened to somebody, like somebody got really sick or even died, that it was the fault of a witch. I don't know what their actual word was, but it was translated by Ray Kelly as witch. Some other person was possessed by this evil spirit that made them do a bad thing to that person, made them sick or made them die. And they could figure out who that person was. It was within the rights of the family of the deceased person to kill the person who was possessed by the witch. It wasn't them who was evil, it was the spirit, but if they couldn't, initially maybe they got a chance to do some kind of reparations. But if they did it again, so like another person got sick, then they could kill them.
Ah.
And Ray Kelly, the anthropologist, interprets this practice that they had a way also of figuring out who the bad person was, which involved divination of some kind. But it allowed the community to identify people who were problematic in some way. Like maybe they just were grouchy or mean or rude or something. It was small communities like this, only maybe a few dozens of people. They couldn't tolerate someone who had a bad temper or was mean to other people for no reason. So they had developed this religious belief system that allowed them to get rid of people who didn't get along well with the community.
That's interesting.
And I kind of
Did you
picture,
say New Guinea?
Papua New Guinea.
Yeah.
But they killed them?
They well, first they would,
Oh.
That's kind of severe.
first they would have to pay reparations of some kind. And then if they kept doing
That's
it,
interesting.
it meant they couldn't control the witch that was possessing them. They had to be killed because they were too dangerous to live among these other people.
Wow, that's
And there was nowhere else for someone to go. They lived in these small communities in the rainforest. Anyway, I kind of see the same way that you described it, that Wanda killed the two evil people
Yes.
so that only good people were left
Right.
who could cooperate. It's a little simplistic,
That's what I thought
yeah.
when I was reading.
But it was nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It allowed the community, someone like that
right.
wouldn't allow, it would just ruin the community.
Right, yeah. I don't know. It does seem extreme, but maybe you would just not let them share, and they would go somewhere else. I don't know.
Yeah.
Would send them to Australia, like the British did.
Right.
I don't know. How much longer?
Time is it?
5 of 12.
Can I just ask one question?
Yes.
I'm sorry to keep harping about the father.
Go for it.
Don't you think that we could blame him for Frida dying
Yes.
and
Yes.
Flip dying,
Yeah.
or whatever his name was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can blame him, right? It was his fault.
No.
Well, and it was,
No.
it was
She says no. I like this.
and it's Lucas's fault, but it's everybody's fault, right? Everybody's responsible for the bad choices that.
Yeah, okay, she goes into labor early, right?
Yes.
And he's out on an emergency, and I don't think, is the hospital still functioning at that time?
I think that things were still in pretty normal at that point.
But I didn't get, and from the beginning, Frida knows that something's really wrong.
And he just brushes her off.
Well,
You didn't
with
respect
herself
his
or-
feelings
Well,
at
she's
all.
freaking
Yeah.
out in her own mind because
Why don't
she
you
had lived
trust
through the hurricane in
Puerto
Puerto
Rico.
Rico. Was it Maria?
Maria, yes.
Was it Maria?
Yes.
And so she's all anxious about that, but she has serious questions about her body. Things are just not right.
Well, she's never been pregnant before, so could be normal. Who knows? It's like, is it his fault? He can't anticipate. He doesn't know what's going to go wrong. He thinks he's got it all under control.
He knows that the hurricane is gonna hit. He doesn't know how hard, but he knows it's gonna hit. So I think he even says at one point that or maybe it's the woman on the crew that says it, that it's silly they're out there fixing.
Right. This is just going to go
It's
down.
just gonna go down again.
Right.
And he kept back to he was, well, why don't you trust me?
Yeah.
Why
Right.
didn't he take the
What, are you afraid of a little wind?
Yeah, and why didn't he take her and the two kids to a safer place?
Right.
Because it's always been fine before.
Yeah.
Well, she died from her pregnancy complication, but she wasn't due. She hadn't broken water or anything, so there's no reason to think that I'm giving Kirby the benefit of the doubt.
All right.
But, okay, Kirby doesn't know that she's gonna go into labor. She's not into labor when he leaves, and she's really upset because of her mother dying in Puerto Rico with her and for Maria. So she's anxious about the storm before she noticed something which is wrong going with her body.
And then you could blame her for going to sleep and letting Lucas and Flip run away and go play, and then they're too far away from the house when the storm hits,
Yeah,
right? So it's her fault. She wasn't
Well,
looking after
she's
them.
in a bad way.
Yeah.
So I don't blame her.
And then Lucas,
but
why
I don't
did Lucas
blame
not listen to
Kirby
Flip?
either.
Flip knew that they should go home. They shouldn't
Yeah.
go into someone else's trailer.
The stress she was under, that's why she gave birth.
Yeah.
This guy should know this. I mean, 8 months, anything
Is
can
it
happen.
8 months?
And no, she was 8 months pregnant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And knowing that her mother went who lost her mother and having all this anxiety, she kept saying, this is
Yeah.
gonna be a bad storm. She could have gone to emergency shelter with the 2 boys.
Yeah.
Or she could have mentioned, said, I think the baby's coming. You know, if she thought, that I think if she
She
said,
just doesn't know.
Kirby, the baby's coming, I think Kirby would have stayed.
But I think he didn't even go in to say goodbye to her.
No, that's
I
right.
think he
That's
just
right.
left her.
Yeah, goodbye. With the
Yeah.
catch, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, just another day.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't think he was a,
This
I'm not defending him. I'm just thinking that he's not aware that the baby's, what happens, the reason Frida dies is because the baby comes early. And she might have been saved if she went through the hospital, which they're gonna have to drive through water. But
Or
I
if he
don't
had
think
been there,
Kirby,
or this, or this, or this, or this,
Yeah.
you know, it's a circumstance.
Kirby thinks the baby's gonna be there in another month, so he doesn't think of, he doesn't think his wife is in danger.
Yeah.
Is what
He
I'm saying.
doesn't think that she should, he doesn't think that he needs to stay there with her to hold her hand.
Yeah,
That she could
So
just
he-
accept.
because in
what's
another
going on.
month, the baby will
We're
be
on the
there.
same page on
And,
this.
and she's been healthy so far.
So here's another way to look at it, that Lily Brooks Dalton created these characters, she decided what was gonna happen to them, who they were gonna be, and she devotes the first whole 90 pages of the book to that first day, right? So the book starts in the evening and it goes till the next evening. That whole first part of the book, called Power, is a single day.
Right.
It takes a whole day for all of this terrible stuff to happen. For Lucas to drag Flip off to play, and then the wind comes up and blows Flip away and never to be seen again. And for Frida to go outside looking for them and getting caught in the storm and dragging herself on her hands and knees back into the house. The door gets blown off its hinges.
And we hear a lot about her, her life and
Yeah.
how she grew up
Her
and,
mom.
yeah, Frida. And even about her and his relationship, right? It was all great in the beginning, and it was all love, and they bought this house, and they were fixing it up together, and she was such a great, strong woman who would paint alongside of him on the ladder.
But she had abandoned her education. She was going to architecture school.
Right.
So your first question when that first go around, why did Lily Brooks Dalton spend the whole first quarter of the book on this one day, on this one character who dies at the end of that day?
Yeah. I went, what?
Why? Why did she make those choices? Or another way to think about it, what's the effect on us when we're reading this of having her decided to create this character, have this terrible thing happen to her?
We learn so much about her, and then she's
Gone.
gone.
So what's the point of that? Why?
It's like, it's
What's the point of
devastating.
that? It's devastating. So we're supposed to just feel bad when we read this book.
Yeah. At that point, yeah, you're like,
And it's for some people not to like Kirby.
Me? I wonder if the author liked Kirby.
I feel like Kirby is so ordinary that there's a Kirby inside all of us. Maybe there's a piece of Frida, there's a Phyllis, and there's a Wanda. And the characters there's so few of them, and there's so little dialogue in this book. In some ways, it's like, you're just inside people's heads a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
That
Exactly.
I want to say, how am I like Kirby? And what do I do that's reckless or inconsiderate, or where I just think I know what I'm doing, and I don't pay attention to someone else's different point of view. And how is Wanda? We come back to this other question about where is Wanda going to come from? I think Lily Brooks Dalton had the character of Wanda long before she had the whole story of the book.
She must
And she had to figure out how was Wanda going to get to be who she was. There's a scene, I have to read this.
What page?
this is page 87, right near the end of this first part. After an impossibly long time, but also a relatively short while, after an overwhelming amount of screaming and agony and effort, there is somehow a baby girl in the room with Frida. Then, down at the bottom of that page, Frida looks down at the baby, and something like electricity passes between them, a brief spark, a small jolt. Frida feels it enter her skin and skim along her veins, up into her thundering heart. At this moment, the wind outside pauses. If she didn't know better, she'd think it was over. Frida does know better, but she's still too exhausted to think about what waits on the other side of the eye. She just curls her body in the quiet center of the circling storm, sinking into the solace of her own kitchen floor, allowing the pause in all of this fury to wash over her. There is a shh in her ears, a gentle rush like the faraway sound of a conch shell. The baby wails in her arms, but it's as if both of them are underwater.
When I read it and I thought about it, it was like she thought of the ending first where people were living in trees, and then she developed the rest of the story. That's kind of what I felt about it.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. How do you get to that point? This person, Wanda. So that first day is that part of the book. The whole book is the whole of Wanda's life. She's born on the first day, or it's the second day of the book, and she dies at the end. So her whole life is this book. We jump around a bit. We jump forward over 10 years. Right after that, suddenly you turn the page and Wanda's 10 years old. Because those first 10 years would be tedious, I guess. I don't know. We would just hate Kirby for his careless parenting. How is Wanda going to get to be the person that she needs to be by the end? And this moment, I think, with her mother it's at least foreshadowing for when she touches the water.
Right.
Those things are going to happen.
Right.
And then if she had had a more conventional childhood with a father who was more supportive, she would be as strong.
Right, you're correct.
An individual, right? She wouldn't have been independent.
Yeah.
She never would have biked down to the edge and gotten nearly drowned and had that thing with the water.
That survival to live too.
So you think the luminescence stuff starts with the birth with
Yes,
Frida?
yes. Like a transfer.
Or it's like something is switched on.
Yeah.
So it's from Frida to Wanda?
Somehow.
Yeah,
you know,
I
Frida
got
can
that
have-
if you read it. Oh, you don't have the book.
Yeah, I put, I returned it
I
to
believe that.
you.
This is what I got out of it, my
Yeah.
So
interpretation.
let's spend a few minutes at the very end. I'm sorry, Lisa. You'll have to read it after we get back. This last scene, Wanda's very old. We don't know how old she is. She's sitting there on the platform with Bird Dog. She's gotten in the habit. She kind of dangles her hand in the water so that it stays lit up for everybody. Right? She's musing about various things. She sort of sees things that are going on, but she's kind of a little bit drifting away. And we get to see a little bit about this community, just little fragments of it. One thing that we learn is there's a girl who can see in the dark. Right? What do you make of that? It's only one person's lifetime. We don't know how old Wanda is, but she's not hundreds of years old, right? It's not generations. This is the first new generation that's born after Wanda, right? This girl can see in the dark. It's not evolution in the typical sense of the word. And then she sees this person paddles up with some fish, and this girl has the same effect on the little luminescent creatures.
Because
that
it's
Wanda has.
passing from Wanda to her.
Right, but it's not her daughter.
No.
She
no,
and Bird
no.
Dog are never had children.
So the beings that are the light givers transferred their center?
They recognize something in this other person that they recognized in Wanda. It's not like, it's not evolution. It's not,
No.
not like some genetic thing.
Transference. I don't know, you're onto something here.
I want to say that it's evolution or adaptation or something, right?
Yeah.
So if somebody who is not born blind loses their sight, their hearing becomes more acute. It's not that they change physically, but they become more attentive to their hearing because they can't rely on this other sense. But
Right.
that's not evolution, it's an
It's an
adaptation.
adaptation.
That
You were right.
I almost think it's like we all would have this ability when we touch water to have little creatures come up and light things up. But we don't need that enough to figure out how to do it. We don't pay enough attention to the world around us. Like there are people, herbalists, or who think they can hear things that plants say about whether they're good for emphysema or something, right? And some people have that. And it's what we pay attention to that or practice that we can learn to do. I feel like there's something going on in this last few pages about that.
That's Wanda's death scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the light that was within her, or she crosses, is being transferred to somebody else. So that's her death scene, as I see it.
She already knows how this story ends.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's not sad, right? Do you think the end of the book is hopeful?
In a way, yeah. I mean, it's not a nice world.
No.
But it's hopeful that there's maybe good people in the community still being able to survive.
It's pleasant?
It's pleasant. It's not like, oh my goodness, we fixed all our problems. It's like, okay, I've got food and water and a dry place and.
And other people?
Enough. They have enough.
What do you think? Do you think it's hopeful?
It makes me wonder what's going on in the rest of the world, how they're surviving.
You said you're optimistic about people. So
Yes, I am. Because look at during the Stone Age, they survived through that.
Mhm.
People adapt. You're already saying they're adapting.
Mhm.
And we don't even know if the earth will shift. Because all it has to do is shift a little bit and change the climate again.
Yeah.
See, you don't know. There's so many variables out
Right.
there.
Well, and by this point, there's so little, nobody's producing fossil fuel emissions anymore. So
No.
eventually, the climate could come
Could
back.
we switch back to the
Right.
Stone Age?
Yeah. But there's a new piece here, besides the fact that maybe people have found different inner strengths,
Yeah.
like being able to see in the dark or something. But there's this communication with these other creatures. And I feel like that the manatee scene, like, the manatees are these big physical, charismatic megafauna, you call them, right? We can picture them and we can imagine swimming around with them. Whereas these little dinoflagellates or whatever they
That's
are,
it, that's the name.
yeah, they're harder to kind of recognize. I have a big personal experience of, in the Chesapeake Bay, of wading into the water in the dark with hip waders on, so I felt safe. And wherever you make the water move, it sparkles. There
There's those
are
little-
bioluminescent creatures in the water. Now, it happened to everybody who was wading around. It would happen to them. I was not special in any way. But it was still, it was so fantastic. It was beautiful and mystical. It really felt like, this is crazy that this is
It's
happening.
natural though, too.
Yeah.
Like kicking the
Yeah.
sand and seeing it.
So it's another
Florence.
world.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
But
So I just watched this, and I totally recommend it. It's on Netflix. It's Our Great National Parks. It came out in 2022, and Barack Obama narrates it, and they go to national parks all over the world.
Oh.
And there's one point where he shows these, I don't know the exact name for it, but they're these super tiny little structures that are in the water, and they bloom, and they make this green light shine up, and it's so big that you can see it from outer space.
No, where's this?
Yeah.
Where's this?
I think it happens in several places and it moves. I think this was filmed off the coast of Africa maybe. But you gotta check it out. But I
Never
thought about
heard
this
of
book
that.
when I
Yeah.
saw it.
Yeah,
Have you?
no. So I feel like that someone has asked this question in some of my other groups, like, why did she have to include this one weird supernatural thing where everything else is so realistic and so gritty and horrible, and, you know, why does there have to be this magical thing? And I feel like it's a combination of, it's not really magic, it could be a potential natural thing, first of all. There's a kind of musing on Phyllis's part between that magic is just science that we haven't understood yet,
Right.
and science is magic that we've figured out. I mean, the natural world is amazing and full of magic. But that Wanda has this connection with these other beings that she can't quite she says sometimes she thinks that they're speaking to her, but she can't understand them.
Mm-hmm.
But they understand her, and they're better at understanding it in some way. But it's not like these manatees are like, oh, hello, you know. It's not anthropomorphic.
Okay, Wanda is getting along with the manatees like Wanda gets along with the glowing creatures. So, but I see that one as like, I think it's evolution, right? It's something Phyllis can't explain it. She doesn't know what to call it. So it's a new creature.
Right.
Or a group of creatures with some sort of consciousness that are able to biofluoresce.
Right,
Yeah.
right, yeah. Yeah, so the biofluorescence is not what's unusual.
Yeah.
It's that they only do it with Wanda. That's
Yeah.
unusual. As though there's something particular about Wanda.
So they're
Which
communicating.
Phyllis speculates,
somehow.
maybe it's her intestinal flora, which I think, like, that's so nitty gritty. Right? We have tons of things living inside our bodies.
What do we do?
Some are beneficial, some are bad. We couldn't live without them,
And
let
it's-
alone the thing in our DNA that's not us.
If they're glowing, we don't
Right, we
know.
can't
Stop that.
Yeah.
To live in this West.
Thank you all very much.
Thank
and
you.
For your
Thank you.
insights and ideas. I hope you will tell your librarians that you want to read Charity and Sylvia also, and invite me to come and talk with you about it.
And that will be in a month?
They have to apply for the program, and they can then schedule it any time in the next year.
Oh, okay.
Interesting talking to you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.